it'll be to a much lesser standard, causing much more damage to the world in general. You know, why does everything have to travel half the length of the world? You know, why can't it be done more locally and sustainably? And, you know.
It isn't just that way. It's also the welfare standards. And I know pretty much, I know a fair bit about the welfare standards in this country, and I know some of the welfare standards throughout the rest of the world, and we don't even have to look any further than Europe to see the standards are not as good as the British.
No.
Yeah. Keep Britain farming. Now then, Roger, let's just look back, if we may. I mean, we could talk to you all day about the story of Cannonball and how you got here. But when we come here filming, and all the family and the team here are so welcoming to us all as a film crew, despite all the chaos and disruption that we like to bring. We're going to carry this on a bit later in Hawthorne.
Jules is coming to watch the match with me. Barnsley are playing Bolton at 3 o'clock straight after this, so he's coming to watch the match in our house. And then we're going out on a pub crawl around the
As we like to say, what could possibly go wrong?
There's only one pub.
We're just going to go in and out of it, right?
Rich, there's two clubs. No, there's a cricket club, right? Bottom club, top club, and the pub.
And we're going to get some tinnies and have them in the churchyard later. One of the great joys of filming here, and it's a credit to Roger's modesty, and I think we'll all agree he's an incredibly modest man, as we celebrate your 80 years, Roger. Here we are at Cannon Hall with all that you see. There are film cameras everywhere. There's crew everywhere. We're working hard to do what we do, and Roger will often appear silently in the distance.
Keep well out of the way.
Creeps in at the back. Yeah, he said you only come out at night. I don't know what you do. And he's watching. And I often thought, God, what must Roger think after all that you've been through to create what you've created? And there he is, just quietly watching. Can you remember the first time you saw the film crew here, Roger?
Yeah, well, I couldn't really believe that there were so many people and so many vehicles turning up it was unbelievable. And I just thought about the expense and all that.
How can a few adverts pay for all that then?
Yeah, exactly, I was paying a lot for the adverts. But it was strange to me, but I've got used to it. The only thing, I wish they were a bit quicker. I've sort of done my little bit, and then I want to go and do something else. and they want to do it again.
That's the way
again.
That's the way, isn't it? Yeah. I remember saying to you in springtime, little secret. I said, "We're going to talk about these two goats. They hadn't had a great start to life." I said, "Oh, they're doing really well now." I said, "No, Roger, they're not. They're not doing very well." Oh, right. We need to carry this on for another day. But all good fun. But I remember seeing you at 5 on the farm when the place was full of thousands of people. Did anyone come to 5 on the farm? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole field over there was covered in sort of showground and all the rest of it. And there, amongst all these thousands of people, was Roger watching. And I thought probably nobody really knows who Roger. They're walking past you. Many of the visitors who come from outside wouldn't have known who you were. And there you were, just quietly watching. I love that. I thought that's just a terrific, kind of sentiment to
Well, it doesn't happen now. But I'm pleased to say, because I really enjoy speaking to people as they go around, and they're just hopefully that they're all having a good time. If they're not, I might run a mile. But most people really enjoy it, and I'm so pleased to talk to them.
One of my favourite days filming, me and Rob were there. We weren't actually filming, we were watching Peter and my dad. They're going to Auburn to buy fern. Yeah. But I really enjoyed that episode because you two were chatting away. We stopped in a pub the night before, played a bit of pool. It was just a really nice time.
I think Peter won, did he?
I can't remember, I probably did.
That conversation about what happened when we were all in a pub and Peter saying, "I can't remember," that probably tells you all the exactly.
That bit isn't in the book, but the Marshall Martin Oban is in the book, actually.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting with Roger, Dave and Rob were at the other side of the ring where Fern was being shown for selling. And as the price went up, Roger was flicking his finger. And I think these auctioneers, they have a fantastic sense, you know, because some of these lads just blink an eyelid or twitch a finger, and that's a bit. I was sort of standing there, totally emotionless. As the price went up and up and up, I saw Roger's fingers start to go slower and slower. And I looked across the ring, and those two anxious-looking faces, Rob and Dave at the other side, said, get him going.
I think he's
Keep bidding.
Yeah, but it's a tactic you've got to slow down. Yeah, well, we did.
Yeah, well, the pace you were going, Roger, Fern would never have ended up.
You did say, I think it's reached its. I am still in with this. I am in. In my bed, so.
Well, I think Rob was driving and you'd have been walking on the road.
It'd have been a rubbish telly show if you'd not bought that.
Yeah, that's it. But it needed something to say.
Well, that was one of the problems with the film crew were there in good numbers and such. You can't not keep bidding, can you?
She was the cow we wanted, though, wasn't she? She was the right cow for us.
Yeah.
We've got 4 of her daughters out there in that field, which is our foundation cow, and she was money well spent.
Oh, yeah.
He's still thinking about it.
And she gave birth to Ted, who is
yeah, sure. Exactly, yeah. Winner of the Great Auction, absolutely. Roger, we're going to come back to you shortly, but Peter, come on. Here it is. The Tales and Tales of a Yorkshire Vet. Not the first book you've written, as we said before. Why this one now, then?
I think this one, unlike my other two, there's probably a bit more, for people that know me, there's a bit more of my humour in it. I take my work very, very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. And I think that comes through in the book because animals do make fools of us. And I think, and I talk regularly, and I talk in the book about the power of animals and what animals do for us. And I think that became particularly apparent during lockdown when we had COVID. And you know, the people living on their own and suffering from isolation, very, very frustrated with life, very fed up. And I think in a lot of cases, animals got them through that period. And I know when lockdown and obviously farms still have to be run, and I'm very much aware that there was one person who lives in London was very, very appreciative of the work that Cannon Hall did. And do you remember who that chap was?
Bozza gave you an award, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's not it.
Like him or love him, but Cannon Hall was recognised for what it was doing for people.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the power of animals. And in my book, there's a lot of stories, good and bad really, because our world in the veterinary profession, it's not all fluffy. We do have some downsides as well as upsides. And as vets, we sometimes do linger on the downsides, and we do take our work very personally. And when things don't go well, then we feel very bad. We take ownership of our cases. So when you have a success story, you've got to try and cling on to that. But sadly, too many of us as vets cling on to the ones that don't work out as we should. And I'm not alone in that. But with the book, there's a lot of emotion in the book, a lot of triumphs, some failures, because I want to portray veterinary life as it is. And I think for people that do read it, I think they'll enjoy it. Certainly, and I've got to say this, I shouldn't really, but the reviewers say it's my best book. So the people that do read it, you can judge for yourselves.
Yeah, I think I'll be the judge of that, Peter. No, it is a terrific book. As you would expect from Peter, who's spent obviously a lifetime immersed in the world of veterinary science, but who also started his career with the real life James Herrick, with Alf White. And myself and my family had the great chance to go and stay with Peter and his wife Lynn over half term last year in October. And you gave us the most fabulous tour of the Herriot Centre in Thirsk, where, of course, you started work. And I said to you at the time, isn't it a bit odd, Peter, we're walking around now what is effectively a museum, but actually this is where it all began for you. And the way they displayed it and produced it, it's stepping back in time.
Does that mean Peter's a museum piece?
That means he's priceless.
No. Well, it's very true. I mean, Twin Peak Kirkgate, and even now, it's a world renowned small visitor attraction. It's according to TripAdvisor, it's in the 10% of small animal attractions throughout the world. And there's a lot to see in there. But to me, when I walk through that door, it's still in a place of work. Even though it's about 28 years since we left there now. When I go through that door, it's my office. It's where a lot of my work was carried out. But Alf Wright was the most fantastic man to work for. He and his partner, Donald Sinclair, better known as Siegfried, two more different characters you couldn't meet. Alf Wright was very quiet, very unassuming. He shunned the limelight and publicity. Donald didn't like the publicity either, but he was wildly eccentric, impatient, and you never quite knew what he was going to do next. And he was also a worrier, big worrier. And I came into work one morning, and he was carrying the veterinary record. He had it under his arm, and there was an article in there: veterinary practice, profitable business, or expensive hobby. And one of his, it was true actually. One of the things that was always said about Peter, he said, when you're running this place, you must keep one eye on the books. You must do that. Anyway, he said, tomorrow, he said, I want to all analyse our work. You three boys and myself will analyse our work, and we'll see we're making sure we're not going to the wall. So we scurried off the following day. Jim White, my partner, Tim, who was never in the programme and didn't want to be, was with me for 36 years, and myself. Alf White wasn't in that day, but we analysed our day's work at the end of the day. And we said to the secretary, where's Donald? Because he'd been in all that day, and we hadn't seen him because we'd been so busy flogging our guts out ourselves. And she said, this was about 4 o'clock. She said, oh, it went on 2 hours ago. Oh, right. So he doesn't seem to be that bothered about the practice coffers today. So we analysed our work, and I've been out doing horsework all day. The partner Tim, he'd been out castrating and deorning cattle, and been very, very busy. I'd had no time for lunch. Jim White had been doing cat work all day. It was Alf White's son, and we worked out what we're doing, and we're doing very nicely. And then we came to Donald's contributions to the practice coffers that day. There was only one entry in the day book, and this is absolutely dead honest. There was an entry, and it said, Mrs. Sellers, visit Budgerigard, dead on arrival, no charge.